Good morning and welcome to Live in a Greenhouse on YouTube. If you're new here, this channel is about my journey to design, build, and then live in the first greenhouse enclosed tiny home in the United States. Being the last weekend of the month, today is the May walk around. One of the most frequent questions or comments I see on greenhouse enclosed home videos around the world is about how sweltering hot it's going to be in the summer. So let's talk about temperature and weather. Temperature outside has been normal for this time of year, from the low 40s to the low 70s. I have all the doors and windows open from early morning until sunset, and the bedroom doors open overnight. Average humidity inside the house is still an acceptable range to prevent mold growth. Although it rained more days this month than it didn't rain, most were less than 1/10 of an inch, with only one day peaking over 1/4 of an inch. This was not enough to fill the rainwater tanks and has put on hold a lot of projects that use the rainwater. I finally learned how to export data from the temperature probes on the air-to-ground. So today, let's look at the effect of opening and closing the ridge vents. The ridge vents are the primary control for heat and humidity, and I leave them at least partially opened almost every day, even during the coldest months of the year. This graph shows temperature at noon and 1 p.m. Where the red and green lines are close to each other, there's little temperature difference, which during colder months can mean the roof was either closed at both times or open at both times. In the warmer months, I'll close the roof when it's raining hard or the wind is blowing hard to limit the tree debris getting blown in. During the warm months, this can be seen where the temperature is significantly warmer at 1 p.m. than noon as the heat builds up. Conversely, when the green line is significantly higher than the red line, the big difference between noon and 1 p.m. means I was a little slow to open the ridge vents, but when opened, the temperature drops quickly. The issue this month has been that the drive-on ferry that went into dry dock for her maintenance on March 15th was supposed to be back on April 29th, and it's still not back. And it's projected to be back on June 6th, 5.5 weeks past due date. I brought in yards of garden soil and other bulky supplies to last until the end of April. For May, I would be ready to get yards of compost to mulch all the beds, the new furniture for the sitting area, and supplies for the next set of projects. In the meantime, there is a walk-on ferry that we use wheelbarrows or carts to bring over groceries and other small loads. And there is a barge service for those who must get a vehicle across during this time. It's very expensive, so I'm just waiting for the regular ferry to return. Even though the drive-on ferry isn't going to be back until June, we are still planning to have the open house on May 31st from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe so YouTube will show it to more viewers, and come along today to see how much is left to do to be ready for the open house. I had a lot of leeks winter over in the greenhouse that I wasn't going to eat, and I've read that they are deer repellent, so I've been planting them alongside everywhere the deer have been eating plants I want to keep. Here, it's the lilies. Still lots of daisies in the meadow, but a lot of the wildflower seeds are filling in. Although the deer seem to like a few of those also. I saw the first fawn of the season last week. They've liked to bed down in this grassy patch the last few years, and it's ready for them now. All the bulbs have been dead-headed, and now the wildflowers are coming on. The lilac has a nice flush for its first year. The California poppies already blooming are second year. This year's seedlings aren't even close to flowering yet. The buddleia looks good, and I'm anxious to see if it will flower this year. Most of the lilies are about to bloom. I don't know what these sweet little yellow and white flowers and these lavender flowers are. They came from a wildflower mix. These three red poppies came from the same mix. The first rose campion is blooming. I don't know what this white flower is either. This week I transplanted the last of the hollyhocks, cilantro, sweet william, yarrow, lobelia, and salvia around both sides of the ramp garden, and more leeks. There was good germination of sunflower and tomato seeds, so I transplanted plum tomato and red sun and giant gray striped sunflowers where the bulbs had been eaten in this area. Deer trimmed a few of the columbine, but still got a lot of flowers which are really attracting bees. Slugs were decimating the bulb leaves, so this month I'm trying eggshell borders. Originally the idea was to pour this patch of concrete when building the carport. Now that's delayed indefinitely, I've decided to start a garden and path through here. That's low enough on the priorities that I just weeded it and checked for gaps under the wall. The bulbs didn't do well, but most of the seeds and transplants in this area are doing pretty well. But it's under evergreen trees, so I need to get mulch onto it soon to keep it from drying out. Got a new string trimmer with 2 batteries, so I've been giving the yard its first cut of the season. I'll wipe down the walls during the next rain. Spring cleaning of the gutters was this month. The south side wasn't too bad, but the north side was full the entire length. I did it while it was raining and was totally soaked by the time it was done. Kitty kept a close watch while I was on the ladder. This part of the yard will stay natural, so I'm trying to cut the weeds and leave the ferns and flowers. The hydrangea likes its larger cage. The path through here was dug up to repair the sand filter, so I'm letting the wildflowers take it over. But I'm keeping this path to get to the lower lot. My focus has been on the areas the public will see during the tours next week, so nothing happened down here except cutting the grass.
Now that I can use the tool shed, I go up and down these stairs a lot. The rise and run are working well, so I don't think I'll need to redo any of the rocks anymore. Although I have used water from the rain tanks over April and May, there hasn't been enough rain to even fill them over 2 months. Roughly 2,800 gallons heading into the dry season is not good. It's dry enough now that I'll probably start chipping this pile in June and move the compost pile. Move the gabion basket so I could set the ladder to clean the gutters. Weeded along the entire north side and checked for gaps rodents could get in. There were two on this side where rocks had slipped out of place. Ran out of time last year before the rain started, but will probably finish painting the cabin in June. Most everything in this bed was transplanted from other places in the yard. The deer have nibbled some, but most will flower this year. A lot of progress inside. Lots of peaches in the 2 to 3 inch range, and the smaller ones are starting to drop. Staked up the asparagus to lay the soaker hose and put up a bird netting fence around this area to keep the cat out. Sunk the other side of the trellis, built and filled the raised bed, and transplanted red sun and giant gray striped sunflowers and tomatoes. Bird netting is temped in until I can get the mulch laid. Probably out of time to put any more rainwater into the pool before the dry season, but at least there's about 3,000 gallons in reserve for irrigation if the rain tanks run dry again this year. Sure was nice to have the drying line for wet and dirty clothes after cleaning the gutters. I've been nibbling nasturtiums, but they'll need to be cut back before they take over. Otherwise, the cat has dug up everything in this bed except the potatoes. The pipe and wire was a failed experiment that I'm now parting out to use in a new model that's working well on the purple raised bed. The lavage in this shady corner has really come on in May, but it's still way behind the other one that gets more sun. Meanwhile, the beets that overwintered here have bolted and shaded out the lettuce. Never grown or eaten Swiss chard before, so I'm not sure if this is ready to harvest or not, but it needs thinning where it's shaded the artichoke. Tomato has a few flowers. The cucumber and pea seeds sown here did not survive, but the transplants are doing well so far. The peas are starting to grab the trellis. Temporary bird netting here also until the mulch is laid. The raised bed around the olive tree is waiting for the ferry so I can haul more lumber. I bought 2 different strawberry varieties planted under the olive tree. The calamandan that nearly died over the winter is such a trooper. It's now filling out nicely. The olive is starting to flower. Maybe I'll get more than one olive this year. This is cage experiment number 3, based on one I saw on Millennial Gardener's channel. I'll add a vertical support between the gates on each side to take out some of the sag and add a gate on the short end. All sides are covered with bird netting. Once this bed is protected, I'll lay soaker hose, finish planting it in mulch, then make something similar for the tall purple bed. Finally put up the last 2 shades. It's much nicer to stand at the potting bench in the shade. Divided the badly pot-bound mint, but haven't decided where to put all of them once they recover from the transplant shock. I selected this Swiss chard for its colorful stems. And I'm trying fennel here this year as decorative plant for its height and texture rather than to eat. Laid the soaker hose, but it needs some fine tuning before putting down the mulch. Another bare area until I can implement some protection from the cat. The plants around the sitting area are all filling in, and I've had to cut them back from growing out to the rug. Both beds have drip irrigation installed, but I'm having trouble plugging a hole after moving a line behind those orange flowers, so the soaker hose is laid in temporarily until I can get the plug to go in. The calendula has really come into bloom in May, while the oregano and sage are taking over this bed, and the parsley has bolted. And it's only May. At least it smells really good here. Finally, the primroses are starting to recover after I spread coffee grounds to repel billbugs and eggshells against slugs. The bay laurel has lots of new growth after it was repotted a couple months ago and moved to this place on the east side of the house. Furniture is moved so I can finish washing the east wall, and hopefully this time next month the new furniture will finally be here. And there you have it, a really busy and productive month. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And come back next time to see who comes out ahead, me or the gardens.